Robert Shaw always is fighting against this.
Robert Gould Shaw.
Yeah, Robert Gould Shaw, really.
I think that his father was an abolitionist.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
The parents.
Yeah.
Make it easier, say Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
And we're back.
Okay, so we're back. And so now we're to Patty?
Yes, my movie is Glory. It was
Here we're going to watch a clip from it.
That's right.
Wow, watch the
Took
trailer.
the words out of her mouth.
Thank you, Bob.
I understand you were at Antietam.
Yes.
A great and a terrible day. I could use your help, Robert.
The governor is proposing to raise a regiment of Negro soldiers.
I've submitted your name to be commissioned colonel of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry.
I mean, I know how much you'd like to make colonel, but a colored regiment?
I'm gonna do it.
Dear Mother, the men learn very quickly. Faster than white troops, it seems to me.
They have risked their lives to be here. They have given up their freedom. I owe them as much as they have given. I owe them my freedom. My life, if necessary.
1911. I can knock something down with this. A million loyal readers want to know what happens when the men of the 54th see action.
Ain't no dream. We run away slaves, but we come back fighting.
1,000,001.
Marching is probably all they'll ever get to do. And they gotta know that nobody's gonna let them fight. Am I right?
Let you take your regiment out to fight.
When?
Just as soon as I can write the orders.
My battalion! Here they come!
If you men will take no pay, then none of us will.
I know, because I dug the grave. And all the time I'm digging, I'm asking myself, when, oh Lord, gonna be our time?
See, the way I figured this war would be over a whole lot sooner if you boys just turn right on and you let us head on up there where the real fight is.
You should have seen us in action 2 days ago. We were a sight to see.
If tomorrow is our great getting up morning, if tomorrow we have to meet the judgment day, we want them to know that we went down standing up. Yes, Lord. We want them to know, Heavenly Father, that we died for freedom.
Glory, released in 1989. It's off a book called Lay This Laurel by Lincoln Kristen. It was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor. That was for Denzel Washington. And then an Academy Award for Best Actor, Denzel Washington. Also for cinematography and sound mixing. It's considered the most accurate war movie ever made because, what's his name? Robert Shaw, who plays by Matthew Broderick, he used to write to his mother all the time, telling her what was happening in the war. Yeah. So, following the Battle of Antietam, Colonel Robert Shaw, which is Matthew Broderick, is offered to command the U.S. 1st Black Regiment, the 54th Massachusetts Voluntary Infantry, and along with junior officer Cabot Forbes, played by Gary, I always say Elwes.
Yeah, Carrie Elwes.
Yeah. Shaw puts together a strong unit, and it includes everybody like an escaped slave, people, free men, grave diggers, and they have to be molded into shape. And that's what the movie is about, molding them into shape so they can fight. I like the focus on the men. Not about the war, because really it's more about how they come together as a unit through all different backgrounds, and some of it's pretty harsh, like where Denzel Washington is getting, even though that's the most inaccurate part of the movie, is that they weren't allowed to whip people.
Really? I
Yeah.
thought they were, actually.
No, that was not considered. That was not the what do you call it? Because they considered it desertion. That was not considered the proper type of punishment for
Well,
desertion.
usually it'd be executed when you're deserting.
What was
Yeah,
the
you
punishment?
had to be, yeah, you got executed.
Yes.
So maybe you got off easy. Anyway,
Seemingly, yeah.
Denzel Washington plays a major role because he's so defiant and he's so hardened from his life as a slave. He doesn't trust anybody. And you see this group of men, like he learns how to become one with a group. And he plays it great. With Shaw, you really see how tormented he is putting these guys into shape and yet having the guilt of, my God, they were all slaves and am I pushing them too hard? But he knows for their sake, he has to make them good soldiers. You see the racial injustice. They can't get shoes. They can't get socks. They don't get paid or they get paid less. And Robert Shaw always is fighting against this.
Robert Gould Shaw.
Yeah,
You gotta
Robert
make it
Gould
easier.
Shaw, really.
I think that his father was an abolitionist.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
The parents.
Yeah.
Make it easy to say Ferris Bueller.
Yeah. No, I thought Matthew Broderick was really good in this.
I do too.
You know, it's such not a role that you're used to seeing him in.
Yeah.
The only one thing I didn't like was the ending. I thought they should have ended it just before they go into battle. You know, when they're on the beach.
Oh, Patty, I so agree with you.
It would have
That would have
really
been
been
great.
dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It went on too long after that.
But
you know.
maybe they were showing that they lived as a team and they died as a team. They all went in that hole.
Well, that battle especially, you knew that nobody was coming out. So, what do you think, Lon?
It is a funny thing because I remember seeing it at the theaters when it came out because this was one of the movies to see. And I had to admit, I thought, this is really cinematic. I have to admit that the cinematography is excellent. Let's see, that was Freddie Francis, James Horner doing the score. Another guy really enjoyed the music.
Freddie Francis?
Huh?
Freddie Francis?
Freddie
Freddie
Francis?
Fields is the producer.
No, Freddie Francis is cinematographer.
Yeah, I know, but I don't see his name. You were looking over there. I don't see his name over there.
I'm looking at my phone.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I said he's
I didn't say who
cinematographer.
the director was. You're right.
Oh, well, Edward Zwick was. Now,
Yes.
he's done really some interesting films.
Name
and that's
one.
why, About Last Night. I like that one.
Name one.
Let's
Name
see.
one. You haven't
Another
got
He
one
just
yet.
named one.
Yeah.
Yeah, another
No,
one.
he didn't. He named Ed Zwick.
Legends of the Fall.
Oh, God, I hated that movie.
I've never seen that one.
Well, that's what I mean. He does these sort of interesting enough movies, at least at the time when I saw it. There's
Isn't
like,
that a
oh,
Brad
this-
Pitt? Isn't that Brad
Yes.
Pitt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like that? Well, you might not have liked it.
No, I did not like the
Right,
movie.
But you might not like the thing.
What did
but-
I always say to you with that movie? This is why American women
Yes.
have such horrible love life, because it basically the movie says, don't fall for the guy who adores you. Fall for the guy that pays no attention to you.
Oh, the one who
and
treats you
treats
badly.
you like shit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it was a reality movie.
Yes.
It's a Hollywood reality movie.
Yeah.
But I just thought, okay, this was interesting because it's telling a story I do not know. Like I did not know about this
Right.
battalion or anything, or the formation. I didn't know about this Robert Gould Shaw either. So it's like, okay, I thought, oh, what a great story. What it did for me, though, personally, it was like introduced me to, I thought, Denzel Washington. Even though I remember him in Soldier Story, this is where I just thought he jumps out on the screen with this character he's playing, Searles. And of course, Andre Braugher.
Oh, yeah.
He's another actor that's like, wow. I knew both of these guys, like, well, I hope they have a career because they were just so, to me, out of all the actors in it, they sort of really stood out. And then Morgan Freeman, of course, I knew him at this point and he was an established actor. Everyone just thinks he was a perfect character in the movie. Again, I don't know if it was an actual character, but see, what I liked about it, because watching it a second time now, is because I'm watching on my iPad, it's like, no, the cinematography doesn't really stand out. Doesn't that? The music's still fine, but it was Matthew Broderick. I didn't like him in the role as much. I kept thinking, oh, I almost wish they did sort of cast somebody else. More of that sort of what I would call New England intellectual, because he came from a very fine family, and that's that. Cary Elwes, who was also a personal friend as well, not just a soldier, who's also an officer under him. He, for example, I thought was really good, and I buy his character. I couldn't buy so much of Matthew Broderick, but he didn't get in the way of it for me personally. And the villains are villains. Cliff DeYoung, always good at playing a sort of an unlikable guy, especially somebody who's going to mistreat anybody. I think he does that so well in movies.
Was he the sergeant?
No, he played the Kentucky.
He's the one that had the other regimen.
But he's the one who basically tells them to go burn.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
That sergeant wasn't mean at all. He was just doing what he was supposed to.
He wasn't, but sergeants are mean in
But
general.
remember, he makes a
They
point.
have to be. They
That's what
want
I'm
you to be
saying.
angry enough that you'll go out and kill.
That's what I liked about what you had said about how Matthew Broderick's character, right? He cannot do anything. So he is relying on all these other subordinates. Right. One being Cary Elwes, the major. One being the sergeant. I forget that was an Irish actor. And then, like you said, well, for me, is when he actually sort of recruits Morgan Freeman.
Right.
Because he's saying, look, I'm not getting to them. He's so sympathetic, but he knows, no, I'm in the Army. What I say goes, you have to do it, and then you have to do it correctly.
Right.
And he's not letting anyone slack off. So he's almost telling them no. In fact, the character that Andre Blauer plays, he actually worked in the household he grew up in. So they know each other. And he's saying, no, you cannot fraternize. And even Cary Elwes is the one who's basically trying to fraternize because he knows them as well, too. So they're talking like they're friends. He says, no, you do not fraternize with soldiers. Right. And it's true. You do not do that when you're in the military. So you see him going, being admired by this guy, then being that. And there's a wonderful sequence in which, since Andre Bauer's character is so well educated, that it's like, he's not a soldier. He's having a hard time adapting because he knows he's smart. He knows he can do things, but he's not a soldier. To which I love when Denzel Washington character at one time confronts him and says, now you're getting a real education, or something like that to that effect. And I thought that is so true. You've been so privileged. Now you're going to see how white people treat black people in my world, kind of thing. Because everyone seemed to have a backstory, and I thought I went with it. My problem is that after a while, it's like, okay, I see what they're doing, and it's like I really wish they rose more to an occasion and instead of just showing the prejudice and what the black soldiers had to do. Because that's the one thing I do agree with. We were talking about this, about you almost wish you really got their perspective, but I think what they presented, though, was a really good perspective of different levels of where you're at. Because Morgan Freeman's character, he's introduced at the very beginning. He sort of finds Matthew Broderick's character on the field after a battle, and he sort of, makes sure he's not dead. He gets him up and he asks him it's okay, and then walks on. Because he's there just to dig the graves for all the soldiers.
I wonder why they did that. It didn't seem necessary.
Oh, at the beginning?
Yeah.
Oh, I think just to sort of establish his character in a way,
and his experience.
The fact that and he's not jaded by war,
right?
Because he knows like people live and people die,
right?
So he's sort of left in that thing, and I don't know if this is true or not, because I thought, it would be if he would be mentioned in history, that he would probably be the first sort of black person to go beyond just being a private.
He was a sergeant. Corporal. He became a sergeant.
That's the thing. He was made a sergeant. I thought, wow, that's huge.
That's big. Especially for that time.
But then, like you said, all the things that they had to go through about the uniforms, the shoes, and all that. You almost picture, that's the prejudice that they're going to get.
Yeah.
And that went on to even to the Vietnam era, where it's like, let's send the black platoon out first.
Right.
They can
Is
take
that
all
true?
the bullets. They did that a lot.
They said I don't think there
World
were
War
black. There were black platoons in the
Vietnam.
They had to have somebody to send out first.
Well, they had platoons, but they weren't. They were integrated.
Right. No, they were. But that's what I said. If you had a majority of black people, it's like, let's send. That's sort of what they was, even in World War II. Let's send them out first. They're expendable. In a way.
They're like
yes,
this
but
less.
they
Right.
wanted to go.
Yes, in fact, very much like this movie, you will see as well.
No, I don't
But-
mean about Vietnam. I meant about in this movie.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This was, which I really didn't get. I was like, no, you want to be like doing the other work, not be there, but it was somehow important to them that they.
Well, it's to do with getting rid of slavery.
Well, and that's I think how they sort of did, because that's what I liked about it. That after at least spoilers here, is
Right.
they mention how after this platoon was formed that almost over 150,000
180.
180,000. Okay, yeah, sort of they volunteered.
Right.
Black people volunteered to fight in the war for the Union, and I thought how interesting, because it's like, see, that spurred them on, because there is a wonderful scene too that I like too, is when they're actually walking through the parade, and you see all the white faces and they're cheering for them, but it's when you see the black people cheering them on and children.
Right.
I said that's really important.
Yeah.
Because being from a military family, my father took us to go see all those kind of things, and you're cheering on soldiers and this, and you don't really know why, but except everyone's in the mood, and it's like, and then my father said, no, you always sort of pay tribute to them because they really are going to fight for the country. But I remember him taking us even to the Pearl Harbor to see like the astronauts when they landed and they were brought to the Pearl Harbor. It's like you could feel this, like you feel so proud that you're an American when you see something like that. You're seeing real true heroes. So that's the one thing I have to give that this movie does have for me, is that aspect. I was, like I said, I was sort of surprised. It's like, oh, it didn't feel as good the second time watching this, and it's what,
It was on
20 so many years later.
No, it was 89, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
89.
So it's more than
30,
a lot more
yeah,
than 20 years
30,
later.
30.
But it still
33,
holds up, which I like.
So
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. I'm surprised I had never seen it before. And I've seen so many war movies. At that point you were talking about when they're marching.
Yeah.
I can see that also, that they're wearing the uniform. So it's very important for them to have a uniform.
Yes.
Because you do get a different feeling. It's like now you wear a suit and you changes you to wear wear the uniform, you feel different. So you can see they're kind of smiling. They feel like now we're soldiers. We feel like
we belong.
We
to
belong
the
now.
army.
The uniform helps. So yeah, the movie. I don't know. Did Matthew Broderick get nominated for anything?
No.
Because I thought he should have been nominated
Me
for
too.
for something. I thought
Back Denzel Washington was.
Well, I can see why. I mean, that was.
He won.
He's the one who won.
And I was looking.
Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman were both.
Yeah, and I was
Oh, they
thinking.
were okay.
No, I had no idea. That was probably maybe like second or third movie that Denzel was. I think in that year he made 3 movies, or at least movies that came out.
Mhm.
But that was probably what his introduction to.
You're right.
Like going, wow, I can, because I'm knowing him. I'm watching this movie for the first time, knowing Denzel Washington. Well, of course, Denzel Washington, he's doing what he does. But no, this was a young adult.
Yeah.
So I can see why you go, oh yeah, this kid's going somewhere. He's going places. No, he's a great actor. Also, Morgan Freeman too. It's like, wow, they got God on their side over there. Morgan Freeman's fighting. So he's he's like, and he's like. I don't know. He's always the same. 30, 40 years go back, he's still the same Morgan Freeman. He must be a vampire. Doesn't change. So but the movie does make a kind of like a lot of those movies do, kind of like Apocalypto did, where they introduce you to the characters and they get you really involved into the characters. So down the line, you're gonna feel it for the characters.
Right.
So and it also shows you different types of characters in their experiences. Like Denzel Washington's the type of character he is, the kind of his experience, the one that was more educated, the one that can read. So it gives you the different I guess experience of different slaves or black people who went through that, and they're from different angles, I guess, or different just how that affects them differently.
Different classes.
Actually. So it's just so it gives you that point of view, so you can learn like, oh yeah, there's people who go through that, people who are this way, that way. So so it kind of teaches you that the score was amazing too. The James Horner.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this movie has great score. Also, because I was watching it with headphones. I was like, oh. That was the Carmina Burana. I don't know if it was that one that they were playing at the end.
Yeah, really.
Wow, it's powerful. And it shows too how, it's really tough, the rules of the military, because you can be friends, like he says, but once you go in there, there's ranks. You as friends want to be. Matthew Broderick, that's the thing where he has to do certain things that I think he probably does not want to do, but he feels like he has to train them or to get everybody ready for fighting. He feels like he needs to get them ready for real fight, So, and the only way he can do it is by obviously doing some really awful things to them too. Whereas all the characters, I'm not too keen on that. Like, hey, what's wrong with you? You know these people, but like, no, that's the way you have to do it. I actually thought you made a good point. I think Gary always probably would have been a better Robert Shaw character. He's really good at that. I thought, now when you mentioned that, it's like I kind of flipped around and I pictured him doing it. I go, yeah,
That would work. Yeah.
he would have been a great Robert Shaw character, actually. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and I'm surprised. I'm glad I finally saw it.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to point out that according to Hollywood, Morgan Freeman is not a vampire; he's God.
He said he was God.
I'm surprised God is fighting with him.
Bruce Almighty.
I have
Did you
said
see
on,
the movie?
huh?
Did you see the movie?
Which movie?
This movie.
Twice.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah, and I had to pay for it this time.
That's kind of weird, don't you think?
Sometimes
$3. I had to pay $3 to watch this.
$3.
Yeah,
$2.99,
$2.99, $3.99.
Well, we had to pay it too.
It didn't cost me what it cost me to watch EO, but
Unless it wasn't when Maverick came out. I just saw Avatar. That's $20 cost me, and I didn't even end up not doing it because I want to hit everybody with $20.
I've said before on these broadcasts that there was a point in my life where I stopped going to war movies because they're all the same. And boy, is this one the same. This one is the most the same of any of the reasons I don't go to war movies.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, look, I identify myself as for lack of a better term, the closest I can get to it is like a white 60s liberal, not a liberal of the 21st century. There's no such thing. The left long ago. This movie is horrible. This is such a racist movie about a bunch of guys who are so stupid they want to be led by a bunch of white guys to do the dumbest charge in the history of the military down a strand of beach where the only way you can get to this place is down this strand of beach. So don't worry, they won't be protecting that. You guys will go down there and every one of you will die. The first time I saw this movie, when I got to the end, I said, "What? They led me through this for this ending? This is horrible." Now, watching it this time, the things I did like, Matthew Broderick's performance. In fact, the only performance this time around that I would criticize is Denzel Washington. Well, he's great in it, but it's a 20th century character. It's not a Civil War character. Everything about him is like 20th century street. And I think Denzel Washington is one of the best actors we have. I think he's great. Wow. But in this movie, I remember at the time, since he and Morgan Freeman were both nominated, everyone expected Morgan Freeman was going to win. And I didn't even remember him being in. I mean, I knew that Denzel Washington was in it. I didn't remember his performance at all. From seeing it.
Wow. I had the opposite.
Yeah,
he's the one who really stood out.
Yeah, he did stand out, but for the wrong reason to me.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But it just was like it felt so condescending. I mean, it was like I believe that the soldiers didn't have shoes. I don't believe that the white guys went out and got all these shoes for them. I don't buy it. I just did not buy it.
I think there's a lot of Hollywood adding additions to
Absolutely,
it.
it's a Hollywood movie. It's a Hollywood white liberal movie. And
let's ask his mother.
But
who's
there's
got
one
all the
interesting.
letters.
But you know, one is interesting point he makes to that, where like Robert Shaw said, he volunteers them to do this mission, but it makes you wonder. But there is documents too. But it makes you wonder if they say, "Oh, we have a bunch of black soldiers. Why don't we send them first to get killed?"
Yeah. That's how
that might be the real story too.
Yeah. They just wanted to fight. That was their
prove
they were men.
But why did they want to fight for the white guys?
They didn't want to fight
because these are the white guys that were going to free them as slaves.
Slavery, they make it about that.
That's what they felt they were doing.
Well, that's what the movie says they felt they were doing. I don't know. I don't know what they felt.
I say it's based on these guys' letters. You can go see them. They're in the museum.
Yeah.
They have a museum. There's
in my opinion, anyone who's writing about themselves is an unreliable narrator.
Well, he wasn't writing about himself. He was writing
to his mother
right.
about what was happening.
About what was happening in his life at the
Well, he was writing
like
about what he wanted to present as what was happening.
And not just his mother. I really want to. He's writing to his friends. He's writing to
Yeah,
family
he wrote-
members. He's
remember
writing
he
to his
has those
superiors
letters?
and
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's painting his picture of the story, and
Right.
so
And
we're,
that's
so
all we
to
have.
which
we're
That's all
watching
we
this
have.
movie based on this
So-
white guy's view
But I'm
of
saying,
it.
But see, that's what I think the movie is based on.
I
Yes,
think-
it's based on his story, so it's his story. It's not
Denzel
about the black folks.
Washington
Yeah.
is a real
that's
character
Yeah.
because he says he's a real character.
Yeah.
And he says this guy was doing this at that time. So he knows better than we do because that he's talking about Denzel Washington, not Denzel Washington, the guy that Denzel Washington plays.
Searles, yes.
And he's describing what's going on with him.
I would be interested in knowing this story as told by the Andre Braugher character.
but he
rather
didn't
than-
wait about it.
That would be
Okay.
an interesting concept.
You're right.
the
No,
point.
no,
No,
I'm
it
not.
would-
Yeah,
but I don't
know,
think
I'm
it'd
saying
be
that
as
would be
good.
because I don't believe
Yeah.
this. I don't
Oh.
believe this thing.
Well,
for a
go
moment.
look in the museums. That's where all this stuff is.
Well, like I
Yeah,
said,
and
no,
who
this
put
is
those
this is
museums
the
together?
movie from his perspective. So
Yeah.
to me,
Yes.
that's what you're
That's
getting.
what it is.
So you're right. That's why I had mentioned the same thing. It's like, oh, I would really, I don't know if it's really following what anyone who's an African American fighting in this battalion, what they're feeling, or if this is actually accurate. I don't even know that. Like you said, especially like him being whipped.
Right.
Is that actually true? We
No,
don't.
it's not.
I don't know.
That's
you
not.
know,
That's the
so,
one thing that's
yeah.
not true in it.
But I can
Well,
see
it's-
why
it's
they
one of the
want to
things
fight.
that's
But
not
of course,
true.
what they
Who
do that
knows?
because of I'm sure because they want to show. Yeah, see, it's what's the difference between slavery if you're going to work for the
Right.
Union government
but-
that's going to
Well, that's
still
how
whip
that's how
you,
he
you know?
sees it.
So anyway,
Exactly.
anyway,
Yeah.
so it's just not so it's just like a knocking the
Mhm.
movie. I do want to say this about Matthew Broderick. I kind of at the time when I first saw this movie, I was sort of dismissive of Matthew Broderick because he'd done Ferris Bueller, but Ferris Bueller should have been about the Alan Ruck character. Yeah, he'd done Lady Hawk. I mean, he War Games. He was a kid, and all of a sudden, here's a kid playing an adult. I thought that his performance was so subtle.
He's so vulnerable in this.
This was the performance of a well-trained stage
I
actor.
totally agree.
Mhm.
I totally agree with you on that.
You can see the torment he goes
I
with his
Yeah.
own
I
decisions.
don't remember giving that much attention last time I watched it, which would be probably in 1989.
Yeah, me too.
Right. I don't remember giving that much attention to his character,
Mhm.
but I was stunned at how much discipline and maturity it showed.
Yeah.
It's how much acting he was doing just with facial expressions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah, in fact, it's interesting because I would say I think everything. If this is all based on his writing, he was very honest about himself. If this script, what's his name, Kevin Jarre's version of it is correct, Robert Gould Shaw was very straightforward and honest about his own behavior. I thought Cary Elwes did a sensational job. I mean, everybody was so good in it.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And this Denzel Washington was great, but it just was wrong for the time.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I thought he actually that's what the character.
older than
that's
you
what
know.
the thing.
No, I
the
mean,
character was
think,
needed.
Yeah,
in
because
that.
because this
I'm
guy
sorry, playing Trip,
says that was
yeah.
the
You know, back to
character.
the whipping scene, whatever the story.
Yeah.
I thought the one reason I thought they might have chosen to do that scene, it was real nice that there's a thing when he's about to whip and he takes off his shirt and he sees his whole back completely scarred.
He's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
new to
But that's
whipping.
why
And that-
Cary Elwes has a huge
Well,
problem
my
with it.
point
It's
is
like, are
that-
you going to do this to
Well,
him?
my point is, maybe they were trying to make that point in this movie of look, this is what they go through. So
Right.
they just have to show you how else they're gonna show you unless they do a scene like that.
Right.
And just
Yeah.
he's already scarred like
Mhm.
completely
Yeah.
his whole back scarred.
No, and that's
And
why I thought it
funny-
was a great
yeah.
thing.
And
commission.
Matthew Broderick, it actually looks more. His facial feature
You
is
can see
so
him.
upset.
Yeah.
More
He's the
so than
one-
Denzel Washington. All you see with Denzel is a tear.
You can see that he's the one that
A glycerin,
Call for it.
Hollywood glycerin too, by the way, because nobody cries one tear that goes right down the middle, and that's it.
you can see how he's the one that made that decision, but you can see his own torment just by his facial
Yeah.
expression. I thought he was really good.
Me too.
Oh, he should have been
you could-
nominated.
Sue.
He should have been nominated.
Okay, so I have apparently the story goes Kevin Jarre was walking across Boston Common,
Yeah.
and he noticed something he had never noticed before, and that was there's the Civil War Memorial there, and there were black soldiers there. And that never occurred to him before, that he knew. Is Kevin Jarre young, by the way? Or was he young?
I don't
at
know.
Yes,
that
he
time?
was.
I assume
He
he's
was.
one of
Yeah,
Maurice
they all
Jarre's
was.
Because
sons.
he said
Yeah, well,
he
he took, I think, the name Jarre. I can't remember what the deal was
Because he
because he
said-
died early. He
He said
died
he
in
knew
54. Yeah.
he knew that this he had heard or learned in school that this war was about the freedom of the slaves, which I thought was a kind of young comment to make,
Right.
right? But it never occurred to him that slaves had and black people had actually fought in that war, and so that's what got him to was the inspiration for
glory.
For
Yeah,
glory.
that's
The
right.
persecution rests.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
But
actually interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I have to say that like you, I saw it a long time ago, and at that time I was not old enough to appreciate how wonderful Matthew Broderick's character was. I mean, they would have thought of Matthew Broderick as Ferris Bueller or the producers, or that's what I think of Matthew Broderick. I almost I kept thinking, didn't Robert Downey Jr. play this part? it was like his character was so, the acting was so mature. I just couldn't believe how good he was. It's like he really should do more stuff because he has so much discipline, and
he works on stage a lot.
So we don't get to see him. But you know what? That's kind of unusual because stage takes big things, right? Film takes little things,
right? But the training for stage is about the preparation, and so when it's all the work you'd really love to see is in rehearsal. To me, that's why I was never.
Yeah, he was so subtle, and literally, he made me feel for him because like the first movie we did, he was like, "This is the army to teach soldiers." He believed in the system, like this is how you teach people to be soldiers. There's a hierarchy. The hierarchy is important.
Right.
It's important to respect authority, and these people. Especially the slave people, the people who had been slaves,
right?
They were used to hard work, but they weren't used to this kind of minutia. You know what I mean? The little minutia, like that lapel's out of place, this thing laces out of place, this, right? And so he had to do that, but he was so young to do this with any authority. I'm sure that was also problematic, but I think the turning point in the thing was when they all ripped up the paycheck because they had to become a unit. And the unit means we all feel the same stuff. All of us are together.
We're a family now.
We're a family. But I have to agree with you. That form of fighting didn't they learn anything through the revolution?
I know. Oh, yeah. With that first fight, oh my God.
Because that's how the English fought. It's like
just taking turns on each other.
Directly into
and they're like this far away.
And the reason that we won the revolution is we fought like guerrillas.
Yeah.
Not like the British.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, this is so
In fact, I think was the movie that the Patriot, that was his face.
Mel Gibson movie.
Mel Gibson one. He started because he was hanging around the Native Americans. He learned to fight like the way they do, which is more like a rebels. So he was
guerrilla warfare.
Guerrilla warfare. So he used that technique in his fighting. As opposed to just marching. How you doing, Bob? Good. How the kids? Good. Take turns.
Because they have this whole honor thing. It's like honor schmonor, right? If you're dead, how honorable. You know what I mean? It's like that. So the guerrilla, it's like, couldn't you have come up with some kind of plan?
And also,
there's a couple of things you're bringing up that are really interesting, and one is that because these were guys who were not really trained soldiers.
No,
they were falling back on the old military style in terms of
like the English,
and especially in the South, because the South is so still connected. Still now they talk like they just came from like 16th century England, But that was that's really interesting. And the other thing that I wanted to point out too is that when you're acting for stage, all of the work is done by the time you walk on stage, and except for any discoveries. So you're seeing something. You're seeing repetition basically when you go to stage. When you watch a movie, you're getting to see some of the process because even though the scene might have been rehearsed, if it didn't work just right, let's try it again. Try
Let's
one
do
for
it-
me.
Yeah,
that
do
kind of
it
thing.
this
Yeah.
way.
Let's try it this way. So you get to watch more of the creative process, which is why to me movies have always been more interesting than plays.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would think for an
Never
actor.
occurred to me until you
my-
said this.
Myself as a, oh no, I'm not an actress. But if I was an actress, I think the stage would be more interesting because I get immediate response and immediate, everything works around me. As opposed to film, everybody works around the camera and the lighting and the.
Right.
Well, it's interesting.
Shall we do
because,
the?
Oh yeah.
We're off topic here.
Okay, I'll talk to you about that.
No, hold
one.
on. No, go ahead.
No, there's. I was talking to this guy once, and he was telling me about how he got involved with a lot of actresses, and he said it's weird because every time I get involved with an actress, it's great, but then it's all over about 6 weeks later.
Yeah.
And I thought, what, 6 weeks later? I said, oh, that's how long it takes to shoot a movie or to rehearse a play.
Right.
The conquest has been made. I'm moving on. I got another audience to win over.
Oh,
So I'm sure it's true with actors as well as actresses.
And musicians.
I think that's.
But one last
fantastic.
point, like he's talking about the military, how they do certain things like that are supposed to be right. They have to follow certain rules because your life is dependent on it. So you have to follow a certain order, like make sure you do this and do it right and do it on time and with things going around you. Because when you go into the actual battle, you have to lock in. Let's say you have to be locked in.
Yeah, you have to
So
be
you
disciplined.
have to
No,
be
I
disciplined.
That was one of
actually-
the things I liked about the character who he had to teach how fast you have to.
That was
Yeah.
Thomas. That was Thomas.
And they show you a
No,
scene
no,
of-
it wasn't
No, that
Thomas.
wasn't
It was
Thomas.
the character I call Nigel.
Oh,
He
but
looks
but
like
they do.
Nigel.
But the movie does. But the movie
You
does
know
show
Nigel.
you. It
Yeah,
shows
no,
you.
and I'm trying
He
to
looked
think
like
of this
Nigel.
guy's
But he was the
name.
guy who was a great shot. He
Yeah.
could shoot.
But
the-
like anything, that's in the movie, and he shows you. He gets the moment where somebody's coming at him. He's better do it. But now you're like, then you have to do it. So it shows you why they do that kind of training. So you do it without thinking.
Was he the one named Sharts?
Yes.
Sharts?
Okay, yeah. That is Jimmy Kennedy.
Yes. He was
Oh,
great.
Oh, right.
He was the
Sharks,
one
you mean
who went
like when you
this
think you're going to
instead
fart
of
in your
going like
shit?
this.
No,
Everybody in this
it
was
says
great.
Private Jupiter Sharts, and that's the only.
Jupiter, that was it.
Well,
Yeah.
Jupiter was
Jupiter,
okay.
right.
Okay.
Sharts.
Sharks. But that was his last name. Everybody called
Yeah,
him
but
Jupiter.
who came up with
No,
that name?
actually, the movie was wonderful, I thought. Anyways,
Yeah,
so
I hated it.
are we ready to? That was Patty's movie. Lon.
Oh, I gave it a 5.
Actually, if I watch this movie, nothing in 9, I give it a 10. But 20 years later, but I've never seen it. But I'll give it a 9.
I give it a 10. It's a good movie.
I give it a 9, funny enough. Bob will do it.
So, then we'll be back.
We'll be back. So that's a wrap. Thank you for watching this episode of What the Flicks podcast. I hope you'll check out some of the movies we suggested because a lot of them are really good and we would love to hear your comments. Remember to subscribe, like us, and leave a comment. So until next time, adios.